Hello, everyone. I'm Ron Clarkson, the Director of Prion Programs with Alberta Innovates, and I'm here to introduce the 2023 Chronic Wasting Disease Research Program. And this is an information webinar for the program. First of all, before we get started, I'd like to acknowledge the many First Nations and Métis and Inuit who have lived on and cared for these lands for generations. This program aims to attract proposals that are identifying solutions to chronic wasting disease. The chronic wasting disease is a rare, fatal disease found in members of the deer family, and it attacks the brains of infected animals, causing them to become emaciated and behave abnormally. CWD is a fatal disease, and it's one of a group of diseases known as transmissible spongiform encephalopathies, or TSEs, which also include bovine spongiform encephalopathy, or mad cow disease in cattle. And in humans, it impacts us through Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease. According to Canadian scientific experts, CWD is arguably the most important issue in the management of free-living cervids in North America. The disease has the potential to reduce cervid populations in the long term and to create major socioeconomic impacts. Alberta Innovates is working to address today's challenges by creating this new opportunity and forge a healthy, sustainable, and prosperous future for Albertans today and for generations to come. We lead and accelerate innovation from discovery to use across all sectors in all parts of the province. For this program, I'll touch on 6 different areas: funding, themes of the program aims, eligibility, the application process, and the review process. If you have any questions, you're welcome to send them to me by email or call me by telephone, and my contact information will be provided at the end. Alberta Innovates Chronic Wasting Disease Research Program is devoting $1 million to support projects in 2023. Individual projects may be up to $250,000 and have a duration of up to 2 years. The aim of the program, as mentioned, is to find solutions to the challenges faced by chronic wasting disease in Alberta and clearly demonstrate the social, economic, and environmental benefits to Alberta. Projects must include at least a 25% partner funding and be completed by December 31st, 2025. There's a program guide on chronic wasting disease that's available in the Alberta Innovates CWD website. You can download that for more information on the program. There are various themes accessible for funding under this program, and they should fit into at least one of the following 4 themes, which are protein folding and misfolding, which is applying tools to understand the mechanisms of chronic wasting disease. There's pathobiology and of transmissible spongiform encephalopathies, and this identifies novel approaches that contribute to the diagnosis, prevention, and cure and possible elimination of the disease. Third is surveillance and control, which is minimizing the environmental risks associated with chronic wasting disease. And fourth, CWD and society. And this is looking at CWD from an economic and social impact and public policy development. Eligibility requirements for the program are research will be carried out by at least 2 investigators from 2 different research institutions or from an investigator based in Alberta with a small, medium enterprise. There must be a nominated principal investigator, as mentioned, from Alberta and based in Alberta, and a cash contribution from an outside partner of 25% of the total amount contributed by the CWD program. Projects must provide solutions to challenges faced by CWD and clearly demonstrate a social, economic, and environmental benefit to Albertans. Eligibility: the primary applicant or nominated principal investigator, as mentioned, is required to be based in Alberta, but must demonstrate a clear value proposition for the province. Applicants are required to identify and collaborate within or outside Alberta from a different research institution or SME, small, medium-sized enterprise. They must be able to also sign the agreement with Alberta Innovates. A copy of the agreement is available on the website. Funding and application. Project funding can be up to $250,000 per project over a 2-year period and must conclude by December 31st, 2025. Applicants must identify the source or sources of partner funding and provide confirmation of that funding of at least 25% of the amount provided by Alberta Innovates. There's no restrictions on the number of proposals that can be submitted by an applicant. Walking through the application process, there are 3 phases in the process. Phase 1 is engagement and intake. The engagement and intake phase involves contacting us. You can contact myself by email or by telephone. Register in Smart Simple by submitting an intake form. Intake forms are due no later than Monday, August 14th, 2023 by 5 p.m. Your intake form will be reviewed by a team of specialists in agri-food, forestry science, and engineering and business development. To get to the Smart and Simple portal, you may use the links in the CWD website when you search for CWD Research Program Alberta Innovates. There's a link on the CWD webpage to open the application portal in Smart Simple that will be appearing like this on your screen. If you haven't already registered, you can register with Alberta Innovates in order to go to the application portal for the intake form for chronic wasting disease. Again, the deadline date for the intake form is Monday, August 14th. The second phase, if your intake is accepted, is to complete a full proposal. There's a review process, and it is highly competitive. Full proposals are due Monday, September 25th, 2023. You will be advised of the status of your intake form in order to move to the second phase of a full proposal. There's a full proposal review process, which includes internal and external reviewers to Alberta Innovates. Each of the reviewers will have knowledge of prion science in order to evaluate your full proposal. You may identify your reviewers that you prefer to review your project, but the reviewers that are used for the full proposal are confidential. Reviewers are subject to confidentiality and conflict of interest policy. Decisions of the review process are final, and review comments will be provided to applicants. The third phase is in the agreement stage. It will be drafted in November or December at the conclusion of the full proposal review stage. The agreement phase, as I mentioned, there are investment agreements on the CWD webpage, and you can peruse those. The agreement phase also includes milestone progress and budgets on the agreed to timeline, and project payments are based on the milestone achievements and progress reporting. Agreements will be drafted, as mentioned, by the end of 2023. Just to review the timeline again, intake forms are due August 14th. Proposals, if the intakes are accepted, are due September 25th. And the timeline for each phase is project specific and dependent on the timely submission of intake and full proposal form. Agreements must be drafted by November or December for the project to move forward. And again, it's a highly competitive process. Please read the program guide carefully. Think about what problem or challenge you are trying to address and how your project is going to help solve the problem of chronic wasting disease in the province. Identify potential end users, as well as the economic, environmental, and social impacts that your proposal addresses. If you do have questions, you're welcome to contact myself at ron.clarkson@albertainnovates.ca or by telephone at 780-429-9349. That concludes the webinar for the CWD program. Again, we look forward to your intake form for this program. Thank you.